There's behind-the-scenes buzz that could flip the Chargers' season, a name to lighten the backfield load, a pillar of protection showing signs he could return, a staff response that split opinions, and a rival move nobody wants to see. Each point changes scheme, confidence, and scoreboard. What happens if the line can finally breathe? And if the market turns in our favor, who's catching the detail that decides third and short? You won't believe what we've got today. So grab a seat, drop a like, and let's go straight to the news. You know that market move no one really takes seriously until a GM pulls the trigger? Today, there's a name circulating in quiet phone calls, cap spreadsheets, and scout chats. A name that won't land on the cover of a video game, but can change third and short and give a gasping offense some air. Think of a cheap, plug-and-play piece that forces defenses out of the box because he's a threat in the flat, holds up against blitz, and still punishes an inside zone. Now imagine that slotted into a system demanding execution, discipline, and efficiency on every snap. Hold that thought. Rico Dowdle. The Panthers, sinking in a start that doesn't point to the playoffs, are listening on a running back who hasn't become a headliner but has a clear use. A former Cowboy and South Carolina product, he landed in Carolina on a one-year deal as depth behind Chuba Hubbard. The numbers so far, 28 carries for 103 yards. Nothing flashy, but roster value isn't just raw production, it's what you deliver in fit, cost, and situation. He's exactly the kind of piece that can change the texture of the right offense at the right moment. Why would it make sense in Los Angeles? Jim Harbaugh's plan is crystal clear. A physical base, a run game that keeps defenses honest, play action that punishes jumpy coverage, and checkdowns that turn into safe 5-yard gains when opponents go hyper-aggressive nickel. Dowdle doesn't arrive to steal the job from the rookie taken in the draft. He arrives to be situational. Short yardage, pass protection, safety routes, screens to punish pressure. He reduces predictability, turns 2nd and 8 into a manageable 3rd down, and takes the weight off Justin Herbert to force hero ball when the O-line is patched together. It's the adjustment that doesn't make headlines but does make wins in November. The cost? A late-round asset, possibly snap-conditioned, without straining the cap and without blocking bigger moves if a bigger opportunity pops. Short contract, low risk, high flexibility. If it doesn't hit, the loss is minimal. If it does, you've found the piece that keeps the offense on track when the storm hits. Wouldn't it be better to chase a bigger name? That's the natural reaction from anyone craving a splash. The honest question is different. Right now, what derails the Bolts more? Lack of a star or lack of efficiency in the basics? When the line is taped together and defenses are varying pressures and stunts, having an RB who reads cuts, embraces contact, and protects the QB prevents sacks, extends drives, and sets rhythm. Plus, Dowdle contributes on special teams, frees up rotation, and saves starter snaps during a critical phase of the season. If it takes a late pick to buy immediate sustainability, the math works. Now think about the internal message. When the front office hunts a functional piece, it tells the locker room that every detail matters, and the plan is to protect the franchise QB without forcing hero throws. That move hits psychologically. It shows the season matters, and no one's sitting around waiting for everyone to get healthy. If competition is moderate, the Chargers can win the bid by offering a clear role, a usage plan, and a real shot at the postseason. And that wasn't even the most surprising part of the day. You know that detail that looks small, but is the key to the entire puzzle? Today it answers to the name Beckton. For days, the question was whether he'd clear the concussion protocol, and when he showed up at practice without the yellow no-contact jersey, hope started pulsing again in the fan base. Because it's not just about one player, it's about the entire line catching a breath and giving Justin Herbert a minimum of protection. Without that, every snap is survival, not offense. And when the conversation is survival against pressure, nothing else matters. The Chargers' season already carried enormous weight with the loss of Rashawn Slater, and when Joe Alt went down too, it felt like the script was written. The stats back it up. Herbert has been one of the most pressured QBs in the league, forced to throw under constant heat, often without time to let that elite arm do damage. Making it worse, the rotation with Pipkins and Salyer hasn't provided the confidence you need in decisive games. It feels like every long 3rd down becomes Russian roulette. Now picture walking into a virtual must-win against the Washington Commanders with no natural tackles healthy on either edge. That's the perfect setup for a disaster. Designer blitzes, stunts feasting on inexperience, Herbert boxed in with nowhere to go. It's exactly the kind of script that has derailed promising campaigns in the recent past. Only this time, there's a sliver of light. The fact that Beckton practiced limited during the week and then closed as a full participant is, yes, a jolt of energy.
No, he isn't Slater. He isn't the rookie alt with elite upside either. But having him on the field, lined up on the right side, changes everything. It boosts Pipkins' confidence, makes protection schemes less predictable, and lets Greg Roman draw up plays that don't have to be rushed in panic. The offense gains time for routes to develop, for the run game to find daylight, and for Herbert to breathe. One player may not be a wall, but he can be the anchor that keeps the structure standing. And the timing couldn't be more critical. Washington doesn't field a Ravens or Jets-level defense, but its pass rush rotation is aggressive. And if your QB is exposed, they'll capitalize. That's why Beckton's potential return could be the difference between a gritty win and a loss that crushes morale. In a season of highs and lows, this small detail becomes the central plot. And while we're buzzing about that, hold tight. What comes next might make a lot of people furious. Is there anything that tests a fan's patience more than a tight loss? Yes. Watching a player sink week after week and the staff still defending him like he's untouchable. That's exactly what's happening with Bradley Boseman, the starting center who in 4 games has already allowed 10 direct pressures. For those watching closely, it's more than numbers. It's the feeling that every snap is a risk to Herbert. And when offensive coordinator Greg Roman says it's fine, the outrage explodes. Roman's argument is predictable. Experience, command of the playbook, leadership in a group full of young players. On paper, that sounds good. On the field, reality is different. Boseman has never been elite. Entered 2025 ranked just 27th among NFL centers by PFF, and his drop-off this season is obvious. What good is it to know the scheme if you can't execute the basics, keep the pocket clean, and prevent your QB from being swallowed in seconds? That unconditional defense gives off a vibe of blindness or worse, complacency. Fans feel it in their bones. Open any forum or social feed, and you'll find the same anger. How many more sacks does Herbert have to take before someone acts? No way Andre James shouldn't at least be tested. If this were any other player, he'd already be on the bench. And that's the key point. The Chargers do have an alternative, even if it's not perfect. James, formerly of the Raiders, is another 7-year vet, used to handling pressure and offering at least some steadiness. No one's calling him a magic fix, but ignoring that option feels like a slap in the face to the fan base. This dilemma exposes something even more worrying: lack of depth on the offensive line. The front office bet on youth, skipped market reinforcements, and now they're paying the price. The season won't wait, and every poorly protected snap can cost wins, confidence, and ultimately the health of the franchise QB. If the staff keeps its eyes closed, it looks like negligence. With the offensive line, there's no such thing as give it time. It's the one unit where every mistake explodes on the scoreboard. Here's the hottest debate: is it worth keeping Boseman just because he knows the system? Or is it time to take the risk, even if James isn't perfect? Some fans believe an immediate switch would at least send the message that performance matters. Others fear that tinkering with an already fragile line could make the chaos worse. What no one accepts is watching Herbert get sacrificed week after week without any attempt to adjust. This story doesn't end here. In fact, it fuels endless discussions in bars, live streams, and digital bleachers. Because if the Chargers insist on stubbornness, they'll carry the blame for every avoidable sack, every strangled drive, and maybe for another wasted season. And while everyone's boiling over this situation, hold on. The next piece might fray Bolt Nation's nerves even more. Picture it. The Chargers open 3-1, leading the AFC West, and the fan base starts dreaming about a division crown that hasn't come since 2009. On the other side, the Chiefs stumble early, and for a moment the throne looks up for grabs. But as always, Kansas City doesn't stay down for long. They've climbed back to 2-2, and rumors are popping that make any Bolt lose sleep. Because it's not just about winning games, it's about holding on to control of a division against a rival that stacks recent titles like trading cards. Scariest speculation comes from a Sports Illustrated list. The Chiefs sending a 5th-round pick to the Saints for Alvin Kamara. Yes, that Kamara. 30 years old, still explosive, still catching passes like a wideout. Already at 256 rushing yards in 4 games this year and topping 500 receiving yards last season. Now imagine him as Patrick Mahomes' escape valve. It's like handing a razor-sharp knife to a chef who already does miracles with a wooden spoon. For the Chargers, that's pure nightmare fuel. The impact would be immediate. Kansas City would turn a weakness, the run game, into yet another weapon to multiply what they can do on offense. It's not just the stat sheet. The mere fact defenses would have to respect Kamara would open space for Travis Kelce, for deep routes, for Mahomes' lethal improvisation. Against a Chargers defense that already struggles to contain consistent rushing attacks, facing that in divisional games would be a colossal headache. It's the kind of move that shifts the balance of power in November and December. From a rivalry standpoint, the frustration would cut even deeper. The Chargers are finally positioned as potential buyers at the deadline, hunting surgical reinforcements to protect Herbert and sustain their lead. But if the Chiefs move first and land Kamara, euphoria can turn into insecurity overnight. The narrative becomes, even when they wobble, they always find a way to stay one step ahead. That feeling corrodes confidence not only among fans but inside the locker room. Sure, there's hope this stays a rumor. Would the Saints sell? Yes, given the player's age and where the franchise stands. stands, but there are salary hurdles, roster math, and the eternal question of whether the Chiefs would actually pay. Even so, the mere possibility already drives debate and keeps the Chargers fan base on edge. Everyone knows a trade like this isn't just about numbers, it's about identity. And when the rival's identity is absolute division dominance, every detail matters. If that scenario hits, the message is simple. The Chargers must answer, whether by reinforcing the line, adding depth to the backfield, or ensuring the defense isn't caught off guard. The division lead is real and tangible, but fragile as glass. And if Kamara really puts on red, the challenge spikes instantly. Now the question is, will Los Angeles wait for rivals to set the pace, or step forward and prove they won't let this one slip? Take a breath, Bolt Nation. Today, we saw how small adjustments can reshape seasons. A functional RB like Dowdle changes third and short and protects the plan. Beckton's possible return rebalances protection and gives Herbert room to operate. The pressure on Boseman lays priorities bare, performance or stubbornness. And across the line, the specter of Kamara to the Chiefs reminds us the AFC West doesn't forgive hesitation. So what move do you want from the front office this week? Backfield reinforcement, a change at center, or full-on aggressiveness at the deadline? Drop your take below, hit like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.